Okay, so the following night, there was another movie hangout, and they were watching The Conjuring. And one of the things that happened is that there's a scene in the movie where the sink was overflowing. So the entire sink was full of water, soap water. You couldn't see down the sink. So I pointed out that, I don't think that character should be sticking their arm down the sink. They should go under the sink, use an Allen wrench to unjam the sink, which that's typically what you do. If the sink overflows, then the garbage disposal is jammed, especially when you can't see down the drain. So Shab was drunk, wasn't able to process that, and he got really upset when we were disagreeing with him.
No, okay, well, hold on. It was like, I didn't even know what was going on because Shab was so mad.
Yeah. And the
so
thing
I
is,
don't think I was even disagreeing. I was just like,
yeah.
Oh.
Shab's hypocrisy. So you look at the stream with Kieran, you look at the other stream with Kino and Spec, and then there's all the streams in between those two, where Shab doesn't mind roasting other people. He doesn't mind doing the, like, hey, let's laugh at this person, call them retarded. So that's what he was doing there. So he's the one that, when I gave that piece of commentary, like, oh, if I were her, I'd go under the sink to unjam it, he was laughing and was like, laugh out loud, that's retarded. Like, all you need to do is, like, turn the power off. So he's the one that started with the sort of dude bro, like, wow, haha, like, you laugh out loud, you actually think that? And then it's like, okay, I'm willing to engage in that kind of rhetoric. He then started having a drunken sort of temper tantrum over it.
Like, I don't know if it matters, but you said you could get electrocuted with, like, your hand in the water, and so that's why it was, like, best to...
Well, that's one of the reasons. One thing is you just can't, if you can't see and you're sticking your hand down there, can't see what's obstructing it, you can easily cut yourself. It's just easier to use an Allen wrench. But there is that, where there is that slight chance of electrocution. And I mentioned that you should go under the sink, unplug it, and flip the breaker switch, which one of the things he didn't seem to process, like, I think he thought that when I mentioned the breaker switch, that he thought I was talking about the breaker switch in your utility room. When I was talking about the ones that are embedded or built into the garbage disposal. Bill Hicks brought that up in a conversation. Shab was trying to argue, that's stupid saying you need to do all those things. And Bill Hicks is like, well, John said that. I didn't interpret it as him saying you needed to do all of them. Unplugging it and flipping the switch, they're in the general location. It takes a second to do both, but whatever. I think that's being a bit autistic when it comes to interpreting what people say.
And then it was like Crow bringing it up every 30 minutes and like going at you, and I mean, I thought it was hilarious, and I didn't even understand that he was mad. So then, you know,
well, he really started to rage out, and I had the conversation with him, but then after a few minutes I got tired of it, and then he kept dragging it out. Like you said, every 10-20 minutes he'd bring it up again. And it happened like in the middle of us watching one of the Conjuring films, but then they put on Idiocracy, and he continued to do it throughout the entire movie. And Zidane was there, and then Zidane just abruptly, when Shab was raging out over something like the garbage disposal, he drops the, like, oh, are you going to tell Shab about how you're firing him? And then one of the things Zidane said is like, oh, I'm sorry, bud, I gave you plenty of time here. And like we saw, it was only 2 days. He claimed I was ghosting him, and you can see through the receipts he wasn't being ghosted. So then I convinced Shab to pop in a chat with me. Zidane claims that, hey, we offered to bring him in as well, and I think we did, but he left. So we went into a private Discord that we have for Shab, Dirt, and I believe because Zidane was on the show, we invited him there as well, but because of the drama with you, he left all the servers, including that server. Oh. So then he claimed that he was messaging us to get in the voice chat, and he didn't message me at all. So that's the other thing. People mention that, well, you were ghosting him, which I wasn't ghosting him. And then he mentioned that I talked about going in the voice chat with them, and he was messaging me, and it's like he didn't message me at all. And I showed that when we were mediating and everything with Shab, that he didn't DM me at all. So it's like either, again, he's paranoid and some kind of like delusion that he has, or it's him just lying and being dishonest. So this was the night before I was going to my cousin's wedding. So I told Shab I had to drive out of state and I was going to be AFK for a few days. So again, this is one of the reasons why I kind of wanted to cut ties with Shab is because it's just nonstop fucking drama. And I'm like off the internet for a few weeks, and then there's all the drama with fucking Zidane, then leaving for my cousin's wedding, and then Shabisky decides to have his giant fucking meltdown and temper tantrum while I'm AFK. Now, when I was in the private chat with Shab, I mentioned how Zidane has been fucking crazy in the last, like, 6 months. I brought up all the stuff concerning you and his weird psychosis episode and everything just days prior to this. Then I mentioned that, you know what, I think Zidane needs to go. And Shab said, like, oh, okay. Then we popped into the general chat where there were several people. Teddy was there. Two Guns was there. Then Two Guns brought up, wait, did you ban Zidane? And I'm like, yeah, we did. And Shab's like, wait, what? And I mentioned, you just said that it was okay to ban him. And, like, countless people were there. Then Shab agreed to keep him banned until Monday, until I get back home. So this is a scenario where I did not go behind Shab's back to ban him. Shab gave the okay, and Shab also promised that, you know what, he'd wait until I get home from my fucking cousin's wedding. Let me enjoy my cousin's wedding, then we'll deal with this drama. But Shab's a shitty friend, and he can't just put the drama on hold, which kind of adds more credence to my point of, like, why I just want to cut ties with him and all the fucking drama that's just nonstop. It's like Shab is just a myopic fucking toddler. He can't just put something on hold for 2 or 3 days. But literally the next day, I guess he got drunk and decided to start obsessing over the garbage disposal thing again. Here, he does an ad everybody. I'm about to reach my hand into my garbage disposal and pull out a utensil. Everyone, please pray that my hand makes it. Please pray. And then he asks you because you were in the voice chat when that discussion went down. His enemy says Godspeed. So Shab says, it's the only way I'll survive. You know what? I just thought of a challenge. I'm going to do a 24-hour stream with my hand in the drain / garbage disposal, and every hour Gene will tip $100. You know, since he's so rich and a know-it-all. So here, again, bringing up my income, bringing up all that stuff. Oh, John's arrogant. He talks about this. It's like, no, Shab's the one that brings it up all the time. If only he put his money where his mouth is, and we didn't make the argument that just sticking your hand down the drain guarantees that you'll get mangled, or there's any notable risk if you're just like pulling a utensil out of the sink and you can see down the sink. The argument was you couldn't see down the sink and the sink's backed up, so it's better to go underneath the sink and use an Allen wrench to unjam it. But I guess that just goes over his head. Then you ask, why would he tip every hour? That's your criticism of my message, really? Okay, every 30 minutes. Is that better? Seems like the point is going over your head. You said, it's not criticism, I just don't understand. And he responds, how is it not criticism? What else would it be? That doesn't mean it's bad. It's called definitions. And you said, it's a question. So questioning something is any form of criticism? Bro, you're psycho. No, just Mexican. Are you racist or something? And you said, I'm Shabisky. So at this point, you saw him on stream with Kieran, where he was loving you when you were roasting me and everyone was roasting me. But here, it's like, this is nothing. This is like the only interaction you've had with him that you could brand as negative interaction. Here, what if I stuck my hand down my own sink drain? You think I might die? There's a fork down there. Gosh, you smart. I'll remember that for safety. How many people die annually from that? Who cared? Who cares? Crossing the street is more dangerous, but okay, who cares? And again, and I'm the one that drags things out. It's just, look at all the examples of other people fucking dragging shit out. Okay, so here, this is an dumpster server. Honest question, how much time do you think should go by where my hand is in the drain, where you realize your engineer of a new boyfriend you just met is wrong, and he's bringing up my job again, so I'm the arrogant one, but yet this is something that he keeps fucking bringing up. Honest fucking question. Never mind, you won't answer that reasonably, right? So look at how hypocritical Shab is. Like, look at how much of a snowflake he is.
And look at the time where I was, well, that's where you were, so it might have been like 4:44 a.m. where I was.
He went on about this for days.
But it's like, if I didn't respond, I'm not staying up all night. Like, yeah, come on. And I did respond later. And then you got
Taylor just stirring up shit, because, yeah, she's clearly being objective here. It never did get answered. Almost like people are being stupid as fuck. Almost like unplugging an appliance or electrical device cuts the electricity, therefore making it safe to work on. But we all know Gene has worked on plenty of appliances in his lifetime. And this is the funny thing. So he mentions, like, oh, unplugging unplugging an appliance gets rid of any risk of electrocution, you have capacitors. And a lot of appliances, capacitors can carry a very dangerous, even lethal charge years after the appliance is unplugged. So he claims that he knows his appliances, but he's not aware of that sort of hazard when it comes to working with household appliances. And with garbage disposals, I don't think the risk's that high, but he brings up other appliances, like he knows his shit, but clearly doesn't. He's never really heard of the concept of stored and working energy, kinetic and potential energy. It's just, it's unplugged, therefore no electricity. And then arguing that I will get cut is a dumb argument. And the argument was that if you can't see down there, the sink is full of fetid water. So it's just easier to use an Allen wrench and unjam it from underneath the sink. How many electrical appliances have you repaired? Why would it be dangerous to unplug a unit and work on it? Now, and he made the argument that all you should do is turn the power switch off on the wall. I'm the one that made the argument you should unplug it before you work on it. So it shows just how piss poor his memory is. I'm sure Gene will be up for the challenge. In fact, we should make it $1,000 an hour since he's so sure. Yes, I will do that. It's like me sticking my hand in front of a fan blade while the fan isn't plugged in. I know it's complicated to understand, but I'm very unlikely to get cut. And again, he doesn't really seem to process what was being said. So here, I stated I will be back home on Monday, so I do want to have a good chat about things with you and Dirt. I think it would be best to put time to the side and to make sure you're completely sober for the conversation. And that's another issue I've had with Shab. So Shab claims that the only reason I wanted to cut ties with him was because of the Kieran thing, and that happened 6 months ago, which again, it's much more relevant than that, but it's also his drinking. So it's not monocausal, or there's numerous reasons why I don't really want to chill with Shab anymore. I don't want to do a podcast with him once a week. And, like, on the stream, I feel like he doesn't add a whole lot. I feel like he's the only one expecting pay, and he's contributing the least out of any of them. And I'm going to post links to streams where if they want to argue that I'm not letting people talk, it's like that bullshit. But it's also that he'll just get up constantly. He'll do things where he'll blow his torch in the mic. He's very inconsiderate, has very piss poor stream etiquette. But beyond that, there's also his, like, drunk behavior where you'll see that he'll be all brawly and everything, and then he'll miss the streams because he's drunk. So countless people have mentioned that they are concerned about Shab's excessive drinking. I don't like really hanging out with him when he's really drunk. He will be very combative, very brawly, and he doesn't take any accountability. He doesn't acknowledge once he sobers up that, oh, I was drunk, so my judgment probably wasn't the best. But no, Shab doesn't need to question what happened, how things happened, even when you can go back and look at streams to see verbatim what took place. Why? Because Shab has no level of self-accountability. His judgment is inscrutable, and he can, even if he was completely fucking drunk, he can just trust his own memory and recall over everyone else who was sober. And he says, okay, where is the garbage disposal article he sent me? And I never sent him an article. So I think when we were in the voice chat, I put it in the voice chat text chat, and like Bill Hicks is posting stuff as well. So again, at first I was going back and forth. It was kind of comedic, just arguing with him over it, but then he had a big giant fucking meltdown. Here he says, I honestly want to know, what do you think of me doing a live stream where I turn off or unplug, either is fine, my garbage disposal and reach down my drain? I will do it, Mr. Genius. Here I respond and I said, do you think if I screen cap these DMs and show them to others, they won't think it's childish that you're still going on about this? Are you not dragging things out? You found out that I am reaching my threshold when it comes to working with you, and all you can think about is this trivial, petty bullshit. One of the reasons I've been spending less and less time in the Discord servers and streaming less often is that all the internet drama is insufferable. Dirt stated that they're taking a 3-week break from the internet because they can't cope with all the nonsense while dealing with their own personal affairs. When you discovered that I am planning to cut ties, you acted like nothing more than a victim. showing no consideration for why I might want to stop hanging out with you in the first place. My main thinking was maybe I'd enjoy streaming and being online more if I disconnected from certain people. My thought process was that I'd probably follow through with streaming more each week if I started to enjoy it more. I may lose my fucking kidneys, and my physical health is declining, and when I consider cutting ties with people who may be too toxic, you want to vilify me. And that, like, I'm dealing with health issues when this was going on, like I was having dialysis, and maybe that's one of the reasons why with the Kieran stream I was kind of pissy. Also, it's like I had my cousin's wedding, and he's doing all this. He can't just put things on hold because he's a toddler, and his existence is the only existence. In the voice chat, that involved everyone, Two Guns, Teddy, Kimberly's enemy, Bill Hicks, and others. One thing some try to argue, mostly you and Two Guns, is that it was a foul of mine to even consider cutting ties with you, acting as if me looking at PPP as my podcast while seeing others as subsidiary employees is too brazen of me. All others there did not agree with that take. Now, if you choose to view PPP as mutually ours, while wishing for me to see it more that way as well, you are going to have to offer up and commit to some things on your end. Here, you have shown an extreme level of selfishness, expecting me not to see PPP as my podcast/channel, while you'll claim that I'm out of line for simply scolding someone on/in your channel/Discord. You need to understand that if I am going to invest my time, money, and energy into a mutual partnership, you need to be more accommodating to my needs. Streaming, like any other job, has its emotional and physical occupational hazards, hence truckers get pressure sores from excessive sitting, miners deal with lung damage from mineral inhalants, and streamers deal with the emotional toll that stems from harassment and disrespect from trolls and crazies on the internet. I should be permitted to stand up for myself when others want to fuck with me, either in/on PPP or Dink Dumpster. If you are going to argue that I need to allow others to disrespect me on your platforms, then you are being thoughtless when expecting me not to see PPP as my platform. You need to understand the concept of give and take in relationships, whether in social or workplace settings. If you wish for me to treat PPP more like a mutual partnership, you need to make it clear to others that I am not Gene the Whipping Boy. If people wish to belittle me or insult me, you need to call them out openly. If I roast somebody in response to their bad behavior, you need to play good cop by telling the adversary, well, you are starting shit with John, so you should cut it out. Always form the argument, this is my job though, so that's why you need to play whipping boy for me, as those disrespecting you may potentially give me money. Well, you need to show greater appreciation for the money I have and do provide you with. You're complaining that I'm considering shit-canning you, acting as if that thought crime alone is me being a shitty friend. However, I'm someone giving you money who could potentially be turned away from doing so. Hence, you expect me not to disrespect disrespectful people because they may give you money, when allowing them to disrespect me pushes me away, a person who gives you money. You seem absolutely ungrateful for all the money I've given you over the years, expecting me to bear the emotional tolls while you're unwilling to bear any costs that may come from holding inevitable trolls accountable. I do think you have a serious problem with aloofness and a lack of mindfulness, and others have acknowledged this as well, so you'd be dishonest if you try to claim that you don't. Shab, you can display signs of main character syndrome, and you have definitely demonstrated difficulty with acknowledging some of your more toxic character flaws. You need to be willing to show a greater degree of shame and humility. You've shown a notable habit of deflection, where you will try to sidestep the seriousness of your actions by playing the "but what about this one much smaller thing you did on one occasion" card, doing so to avoid full responsibility for your very serious transgressions and blunders. If you wish to keep the group together, you need to be more willing to change, and your behavior here has shown you're unwilling to do so. I was on the fence about cutting ties with you, but this exact scenario is the very reason I considered going my separate ways in the first place. Instead of showing concern or humility, you try to vilify me for even considering severing ties. I know that's a mouthful, but this is me trying to make everything clear and cogent. And one thing people are trying to claim is that, oh, I'm holding the fact that I give him money over his head. It's like, no, this is a hobby. I want to have fun, especially if it's a hobby I'm spending money on. If Shab's going to be toxic, then I don't want to hang out with him, and I'm not going to give money to somebody and do a stream with them once a week if I don't enjoy it. But that makes me a terrible fucking human being. My perspective doesn't fucking matter to people who want to vilify me and white knight Shabisky. And I pointed that out, that it's like he'll argue that people who, a lot of them never even fucking tip, that it's just, hey, I might scare away somebody who might potentially give him money by simply standing up for myself. And it's like, all he needs to do is interject. He sees that I have a knee-jerk reaction like any fucking human being on planet Earth. I'm having a bad day. This is the one in something trolls that gets under my skin. Instead of throwing me under the fucking bus, he can at the very least mediate and tell the other person who's being adversarial, hey, cut it out. But according to him and others, I'm the selfish one. I'm the bad friend expecting that. That's me being selfish and holding money over Shab's head. I guess I'm an asshole if I just want to go my separate ways then. And then after seeing all the drama in the fucking like Discord chats, said, well, I thought it was pathetic seeing the 2 DMs you've sent me, but after browsing the general chat in the Dink Dumpster Discord, it seems it is far more unpalatable than that. Are you really this hung up over some instrumental grocery-esque nonsense? I've been out of town, and you've been spending the last 48 hours going over this. Last night, you told me that you wanted to go solo like Vosh, and you literally told me that you not only planned to cut me off, but you planned that for the rest of the podcast. But then, at the same time, you were getting Zidane to produce an OBS, so I already explained that. That was something that we were doing even before I decided to cut ties with him, and that was just in case Shab wasn't around, he could do the stream. Why would you do that to people? Or expect them to take you seriously as a friend when you do things behind your friend's back? Also, you were wrong about the garbage disposal shit, and you're too full of yourself to admit it. I'll do the stream. Do you disagree that I can do a stream and put my hand down a disposal for hours? Or is it only stupid for me to bring it up because you're wrong? It's okay, be like Raisin. One of the things Raisin would do is on stream, if she was wrong about something, she would drag it out. So she wouldn't let it go post-stream, and she would like post articles in the Discord and continue to have a meltdown over it. And that's exactly what he's doing here. Post-conversation, he can't let it go, and he's still like posting stuff about it, DMing me about it. So again, Shab, I mean, am I wrong when I say there's a lack of self-awareness here? But what do you think about why would you do that? Like, expect us to take you seriously when you're doing things behind your friend's back.
What do I think about that?
Yeah, acting like, yeah, I'm the bad guy because I was talking about Shab behind his back.
Well, I mean, like, I don't know. I'm kind of thinking that no matter what you would have done, he would have, like, made you the devil in the situation.
And people would just be white knights and jump on the
Eat it up.
bandwagon.
Yeah, they love to feel sorry for
Baby
Shab.
Shab.
Yeah. Yeah, because if you, like, okay, if you didn't tell Zidane and
Dirt.
Yeah, Dirt, then it's like, well, how dare you not tell anyone and ask anyone else's opinion? They're part of the show too. So it's like, all right, man, if you can't win either way, then...
Two Guns, we'll cover him a little bit, but you can see just how poor his judgment is because he was regurgitating that.
Yeah.
Like Zidane's argument, like when we were all talking about this, like, oh, it's shitty, like talking about them behind their back. And it's, and he also brought up me ghosting Zidane when we shown through the receipts I wasn't ghosting him, but it just shows that Two Guns doesn't know how to think for himself.
Or get the other side of things.
Yeah.
He just believes one side and then acts like he's neutral when he's not.
And here, Shab says, Bill Hicks was there and thought you were being fucking stupid, which Bill Hicks was also posting things that were in my favor. Bill Hicks disagreed with him. So
he was pretty quiet, right? Like...
Yeah, so this is where Shab just assumes that everyone agrees with him until they don't, but then after they disagree with him, he'll just go back to remembering the event as everyone agreeing with him. So, and here it shows that he clearly doesn't remember things clearly because I left his Discord, but I'm sure people can still go there. In the movie hangout, voice chat, text chat, Bill Hicks was making comments and posting things that weren't in the favor of Shab. It just shows that Shab's just very myopic. Everyone agrees with Shab, and one of the things he does is he uses Dirt as a token. And we talked to Dirt. That's one of the things that Dirt said, is that he doesn't agree with Shab using him as like a token in these disputes, where he keeps claiming that Dirt agrees with me, so you're saying that Dirt's wrong? Dirt thinks I'm right, so if you disagree with me, you disagree with Dirt. And it's like, well, one, I don't think Dirt will say that he's an infallible, like, perfect human being. So that sort of logic of somebody else thinks I'm right, therefore I'm right, checkmate, is just stupid. But you'll see that he says a lot of things that he claims Dirt agrees with him over, which we've talked to Dirt multiple times. We've had, like, long discussions with him in the voice chat, and he doesn't agree with a lot of the stuff Shab is saying. So it's like when I was talking to Dirt through DMs, I felt he was being pretty bipartisan. He was trying to see my side of the story and also Shab's. So I didn't interpret it as like, oh, Dirt's just completely on my side. But here you'll see that according to Shabisky, Dirt, like Bill Hicks here, everyone just thinks he's right. Yeah, Dirt's just 100% agrees with Shab on everything.
Well, that's like ganging up on you.
Here I respond, I don't care about the garbage disposal thing. Did you even read what I sent you?
Oh, wait. You didn't see. The only thing that matters if this porn star agrees with you that you met 3 weeks ago. That was pretty good.
Wait, did I skip that?
You read You read Bill Hicks, but then you didn't read like the second part.
Oh, okay. Yeah, Bill Hicks was there and thought you were fucking stupid, but I guess only matters if a porn star agrees with you that you met 3 weeks ago. Also, don't fucking admit you're wrong. And it's like, maybe I am wrong, but it's like I disagreed with him, and if he doesn't want to agree with me, fine. We'll agree to disagree. And he wasn't willing to move on. And he remembers things as like we were being belittling like towards him, but you barely spoke. And like we saw on the Kieran stream and stuff, it's just when he gets drunk and he wants to be all brawly and stuff and engage in that sort of like, well, that's retarded dude bro rhetoric. He has no room to talk if he's going to claim that I was being belittling. And he's right because he thinks he's right. It's not even possible that he could be wrong. So if I or somebody else think that he's wrong about something and won't admit it, then it's possible for them to be wrong about that. But if Shab thinks somebody is wrong and won't admit it, it is just pure, unequivocal truth that they just won't admit that they're wrong. So it's like Shab can think he's right and be right, but other people can only think they're right, but in reality be wrong. Here I said, I don't care about the garbage disposal thing. Did you even read what I sent you? By hyper-focusing on this trivial garbage disposal dispute, you're showing that you don't care at all about the core issues I have overall. Whether I'm right or wrong regarding the facts isn't what's obnoxious. It's the fact that it is something really trivial that you can't move on from. It might make you look human. Yeah, who cares about you being a know-it-all dickhead to me for no reason, acting like you know things you have no clue about. And they've done this before where it's a stupid trivial semantics dispute and it's like I'm willing to agree to disagree and they don't want to move on. And here he's claiming I'm being a know-it-all dickhead when Shab doesn't mind disagreeing with somebody in a very sort of like, yeah, laugh out loud, that's retarded sort of dude bro manner. So he lacks any self-awareness. So he says, I literally talked to a plumber today. It's like, do you think he talked to a plumber? It's like, imagine him getting so fixated on this that it's like, I'm going to call up a plumber and a bunch of handymen and everything. I'm going to have to call like a bunch of construction workers so they can tell me I'm right. He said you were fucking full of shit. And it's like, I'm sure he gave them, like you've seen in all these posts from him, he gave them an accurate retelling of the arguments that I presented him with. So it's not that his drunken sort of recollection is inaccurate. He said you were full of shit. Where's the article? It only matters if you're right. It only matters if you're right. Gibberish. Bad friend, wannabe know-it-all, but doesn't matter if you're wrong, right? Oh no, you're somehow right even if you're wrong. You're calling me a know-it-all dickhead when you were drunk and the conversation started because you were acting like I was stupid, overthinking a character in the movie shouldn't have put their hand down the sink. And he said, I argued that someone can turn a garbage disposal off or unplug it, which I'm the one that made the argument that you should unplug it and safely reach down the drain, and you argued against that. People heard it, so you can't lie. And it's like, yeah, people heard it. Taylor and Zidane were there, but both of them muted me when Shab was having his meltdown because they're little kids. So they didn't even hear what I was saying. And they were doing the, you're being a dick, planning on getting rid of Shab. So we're going to mute you. So it was you, Enemy, and Bill Hicks were the only people there who were sober, who were listening to everything that was being said by both parties. I replied, I'm allowed to disagree with you regarding that. Oh, and he said everyone heard it. So again, he just assumes everyone agrees with him. Somebody could write on a piece of paper, I don't agree with you, Shab. And the way his brain works is he would see, I agree with you, Shab. If somebody tells him that I think you're wrong on this one, Shab, he'll just hallucinate and interpret it as them telling him, like, yeah, you're completely in the right, Shab. So I'm allowed to disagree with you regarding that, but if you're going to claim that I was being belittling, I wasn't. You pounced on a comment I made about a scene in a movie, and you were calling me stupid for what I initially stated. So you're acting like I'm the know-it-all when you were the one who started with the out loud, you honestly think that sort of discourse. Here's like, is there a link proving that you're not being raisin link? And I said, if you really want to obsess over it, all that stuff was posted in the text chat of the movie hangout voice chat. But can you answer my question? Are you drunk? So he went into the movie hangout in the PPP Discord, and he was in there for like over an hour trying to find it. I'm not the one claiming to have knowledge about something I know almost nothing about. That's you. And it's like, dude, seriously, have you been drinking? You have to drink to be your fucking friend, Gene. So he's trying to, like, hey, I know this person doesn't want to be friends with me anymore, so they're the bad friend, not me.
Oh, I like that one, though. You're just so difficult to be around.
Yeah, can you stay on subject? Oh, that's funny. You acted like a know-it-all, and you were rude. And again, he doesn't need to even consider that, you know what, when he was drunk, maybe he was the one being brawly and obnoxious. But no, the way Shab remembers things when he was drunk is completely inscrutable. He just has an eidetic memory, even though he's just completely drunk and stoned all the time. But whatever. He said, when did you wake up and how much have you had to drink since then? And goes on again. Rude about something you don't know, Gene. Why would you be rude and act like you know something you don't know? You said last night you can't just unplug the unit and feel safe about reaching your hand down the garbage disposal, which I claim that if you can't see down the garbage disposal, that I don't agree with sticking your hand down there and feeling around the blades and everything. You're more likely to cut yourself. But in what world does a garbage disposal magically receive 120 volts without being plugged in, which never the argument. This is like me telling you some logic about bridges and buildings, logistics, and just acting like I know when I don't. And he's done this before. There was a stream where he talked about how you could power a gym through nothing but exercise equipment, and he tried to move the goalposts, claiming that, oh, well, like I said, you could generate some power. It's like, oh, yeah, no shit, you could generate some power. So talk about not admitting that you're wrong, and he was being really fucking annoying. And I mentioned, like, there I did mention, like, okay, like I'm an engineer, and you're arguing that you can power a gym through exercise equipment, and don't want to go into all the details, but one of the things he said is, well, you're an engineer, it's not like you're an electrician. It's just facepalm. You would correct me and make me look stupid, but you can't look stupid, Gene, right? Even when you say something fucking stupid. I spent years defending you when people call you a know-it-all, which we've seen on stream. He never defends me on stream. So if he's doing that when I'm not present, okay, that's good. But still, every time I'm around and every time somebody is treating me like shit, he never takes my side. But after last night, I don't know if I was ever right to argue against that. You won't. You won't actually make any sort of decent response because I drink, regardless of whether I'm right, but I'm sure you'll explain to my dumbass why plumbers and repairmen who have been doing this for decades think what you said is fucking stupid. And do you think he called all these people to get, like, a second opinion?
100%.
If you ever get your garbage disposal replaced, make sure to tell them what you told me to. They can grin and act like you aren't saying something fucking stupid. Like unplugging a unit isn't cutting the power to the unit, which I never said. The one arguing you should unplug it. So he was the one arguing that all you need to do is flip the power switch off. Yeah, fucking stupid. God, it just goes on and on. So one thing Kitty mentioned was that, oh, I don't look good because of how lengthy my responses were. And it's just, well, I was trying to make everything very concrete, very concise. So I was trying to be descriptive and trying to make my point clear. So there wasn't any confusion. But then when Shab is just typing pages and pages, obsessing over the garbage disposal thing, I'm the obnoxious one with my long, like, lengthy text. But it's okay if anybody else does it because John Morgan's Hitler and we just got to vilify him. So who would think cutting the power to an appliance would stop it from working talking crazy shit. Also, when I point out you're pulling a Raisin, I'm too drunk to make sense. Keep ignorantly arguing like Raisin, ignoring your ignorance to any subject. Drunk, drunk, drunk. Sure, we remove the pistons from the car, but how do we know it still won't go 100 miles per hour? I don't know. Ask Gene. He knows everything. Google AI told him some bullshit. It's like unplugging your computer from the socket and then arguing that your computer might power on without the source of electricity and power. So if you open up your power supply, they can carry a lethal charge. And plus, your computer, if you're working on like circuit board, silicon-based technology, if it's unplugged, capacitors on the motherboard, charge isn't lethal, but it can still be injurious. But if there's any sort of static discharge, like static shock, it can actually damage the transistors on the circuit board. So here, Shab clearly knows his shit. I'm the know-it-all. I clearly don't know what I'm talking about. I said, anyway, once you sober up, know that I'll be home to talk to you about everything directly on Monday, and we can have people there to mediate. I don't want to cut ties with you, and I really do hope we can amend things. I put Taylor in limbo because she seems to really want to instigate things, and I still would like Zidane to be blacklisted. Dirt agrees that what Zidane did was a huge transgression, so I think it's best to keep them blacklisted, and you can talk to Taylor one-on-one about it in the chat, but she doesn't need to be making everything a spectacle in the discords. It's not the time or place. So here, the only example of me, I guess, not going through Shab first was putting Taylor on limbo because I'm away from home. Let's not make it a big drama spectacle. And you can see that Shab just doesn't care that people have a life outside the internet or people have a life outside of his. So he's not considerate at all. It's just Shab's completely in the right because he thinks he's completely in the right. He can't possibly be overlooking anything, or in hindsight, maybe he's 50% in the right or 40, 60% in the right. He's got everything figured out, so it's okay to just make everything a big open spectacle when John Morgan isn't there to advocate for himself or defend himself. And then here, well, you should maybe wait until Monday and there's some sort of resolution before excluding people who help support what I do. Once again, my career and ability to feed myself is gambled, but your career stays stable. This only happened because you made a choice that led to this. So again, I'm the bad guy because I don't really want to be friends with him anymore, and I'm considering cutting ties. And me counseling with the other co-hosts about how I might not want to be friends with this person anymore and might not want to stream with them anymore. That's you made a decision that led to this. So it just shows how Shab has no humility. He has no fucking modesty. He's just 100% the victim, and he isn't capable of applying any sort of introspection. He's only able to look outward, not able to look inward at all. And, oh, you made a decision that led to this. That would be like somebody looking at their boyfriend, girlfriend's phone, or their spouse's phone, and seeing text messages that confirm that they were cheating on them. And then when they confront the person who is cheating on them, that person acts like them looking at the text messages is worse than the fact that they were cheating on them. Here, it's that's what it's like. It's hey, I don't want to be friends with Shab anymore for this long list of reasons, but hey, you were talking to people about not wanting to be friends with me anymore. You did this. It's your actions that led to this. And then it doesn't take a genius to see Dirt and Zidane would not like it and feel like just do the same bullshit to them next. And it's just, even if I do the same thing to them next, it's my channel, my stream. Zidane and Taylor stuck up for what they thought was right. And yeah, I'm sure with Taylor, that's the reason. There aren't other ulterior motives there. And the only reason the situation happened is because you talked behind my back about shit you shouldn't have. What do you mean, talked behind your back about shit you shouldn't have? If someone feels like they may want to cut ties with someone, it makes sense to counsel with the other person. Would you have preferred if I just made a decision without talking to anyone? I'm sorry, but any of the people pitching this narrative that me talking to the other co-hosts about it is somehow a foul, they are simply being dishonest. Someone considering cutting ties with another party community is not a crime, and counseling with others about a decision like that is in no ways a counterproductive thing to do. I made it clear to Zidane that I was going to have a conversation with you about my grievances, and he came to you with a false narrative. And he says, how come PPP is your podcast, but Dink Dumpster is our community? How does that make sense? So here, I'm guessing he sobered up, but the previous response that I gave him, or the initial response that I gave him, is that how I stated things? That if PPP is your podcast, then why is Dink Dumpster our community? Do you think he's just got shitty reading comprehension?
Well, he just wants to make everything your fault. You're the bad guy.
But I feel like I was very meticulous. I made it very clear that it's just, if he wants it to be our podcast, there needs to be some give and take, and there needs to be more of a community thing here. But he's been presenting it on stream, and it's not like he doesn't have the DMs where he can go back and read it over. If he wanted to, he could show these DMs on stream to show people like verbatim what I said, and he doesn't want to. Why? Because it doesn't fit that narrative he's presenting people that, oh, I wanted him to give me complete and total control of his community. So I said, you're missing the point of what I'm saying. I'm stating that if you want PPP to be our podcast, then Dink Dumpster needs to be our community. And if Dink Dumpster is not our community, then PPP is not our podcast. The point being is that a lane needs to be picked. And here I sent him DMs with Zidane. So I said, what did Zidane even tell you? Because people are claiming that I ghosted Zidane, and I didn't. So I shared the DMs that we already went over with Zidane. So then his response is, so it's either I keep doing a show with you and you control everything, or I don't do a show with you and I'm allowed to have, and he said the wrong allowed, but to have control over a community I've spent a decade building. No other choices, huh? And I mean, do you think it's just he's still drunk, or he has poor reading comprehension, or he's just dishonest? Because I've said it multiple times that there needs to be some compromise. A lane needs to be picked. If you want PPP to be our podcasting community, then Dink Dumpster has to be more of a community thing, can't just be me being a whipping boy. And I said, you're interpreting that ultimatum in an overly black and white manner. I don't want absolute control. I simply would like if you trusted my judgment more when it comes to moderating, especially when it comes to people mistreating me. So again, we'll see later on, he keeps stating, and this is after we've had this conversation in voice chat, and I made it clear in, like, when we mediated, and Skeppy, Bill Hicks, Timmy, and all of them were there, that I don't expect complete, total control. And I've also made it very clear in writing that I don't want absolute fucking control. But yet, he keeps presenting that narrative to people, which just shows how dishonest he is. Well, why does my judgment or asking me not come into play? Your community, you have 100% control of, but mine, I can't say the same. If I lose supporters over your choices, will you fix that? Because you're not the one that will have to move out of your house because of some choice I made without your consent, but you might literally be doing that to me. So here he's talking about me putting Taylor in limbo, which I created the limbo channels in the Discords, because if somebody's having a meltdown and they're just spamming stuff and posting stuff, it's a way to sequester them until the mods or the admins are able to address them. And it gives them access to one voice chat and one text chat that only people at the limbo role and the mods have access to. So Taylor was posting all the shit in the general chat, so I put her on limbo. I told Shab about it because he was AFK. He was asleep, but I guess that's me being power high. What do you think? Do you think that's me abusing my, like, fucking power? I mean...
No, you've said it before. He wants a mod, but he doesn't want you to mod.
Yeah. In the PPP Discord, if you were Dirt Band or regular, I would trust your judgment that person may have been engaging in some fairly egregious behavior. If I saw that they were being abusive towards you or Dirt, I would tell them that they need to apologize to you. Also, I do take people's financial support into play. Zidane does not support at all financially, so banning him is not going to affect you. Regarding Taylor, I didn't ban her. She was put on limbo. With Taylor, I find that her cutting support to you is highly unlikely, as she's far more likely to just blame me, which I don't care if she cuts support to me. So he says says she literally told me she's starting to feel like she doesn't want to be part of the community. And no, you would not just trust my judgment. So I guess not Shab, but Dirt, others in my server have timed people out, sequestered them, kicked them before, and I talked to them afterwards. So it's like, if I'm not around, I expect the mods to mod. So here it's just like he's going to make this assertion that, no, you wouldn't trust my judgment. Especially if it was a big or bug supporter that you depended on to live. Doesn't even make sense to compare the two as if they're the same. And I said, has Taylor left? I'd bet she's not going to leave. I'm asking this as a hypothetical, not a threat. What if I cut off financial support to you, Shabisky? I'm investing my own time, money, and health collaborating with you. I detailed that if I am expected to simply tolerate abuse, it is just not worth it for me to stream at all. At that point, there'd be no PvP. If you want me to have the passion and motivation to invest in the podcast, I need to be remedied to some extent. It's a cost-benefit analysis. Is John Morgan leaving going to cost you more money than the $5 tip you get, an average of 1.5 times a month from the user buttmuncher3872? And if I put a adversarial troll account like that in timeout, a timeout, not a ban, and the timeout creates a 1% risk of them rage quitting the community, then I think the cost of losing that buttmuncher3972 account, losing it to spare your friend's sanity, is worth it to keep your friend John Morgan around, and the money that comes with that partnership. So here, it's like I'm trying to make the point that he's like, hey, this person is treating you poorly, and if I don't throw you under the bus and just allow them to treat you poorly, then they might leave. And they could potentially give me money, even if they don't, or if they've given like just $2 in the past. It's like, well, what about all the money I'm giving? So the same thing applies to me. I might leave, but that makes me petty. That's me holding my money over his head, and it's just, well, it's like, fuck off. I'm not enjoying it, so why should I invest money in a community that I don't like hanging out in, where I'm just the whipping boy? And if that's what he cares about, is they could potentially give him money, well, the same thing applies to me. It seems like him and all the people that want to white knight him don't see the glaring sort of contradictions there. And he says, do you think, from Taylor's perspective, with the narrative that she's heard, might have been justified in being angry? And then this is where Shab thinks shows great level of stupidity, the narrative that she's heard. So is she getting the right narrative from Zidane? So I think we've shown that Zidane wasn't being entirely honest and accurate with people. So here, it's like Shab just doesn't get it. It shows how piss poor his critical thinking is. It's like, yeah, I'm not even going to consider the possibility that maybe the narrative Zidane's providing everyone with isn't entirely accurate. So maybe that's why everything should be kept on hold until Don gets back. I guess that's too complicated for Shabisky. I mean, nuance, what's that? So I don't think anyone that gets mad at you needs to be put on timeout. So is that not another straw man? Oh, anybody who gets mad at me needs to be put on timeout. The vast majority of the time, if I come across some account where they're just making rude comments about me, I ignore it. It's like either he's too dumb to process what I'm saying, or he's just a little kid and it's just emotional immaturity. She heard you were planning behind my, and again, you were planning behind my back to kick me off the show. She saw that you were getting Zidane to set up OBS for PvP, which makes no sense when you're thinking about going solo and being like Fush. And again, Shab doesn't know how to think multidimensionally, because I mentioned that I don't know what direction I want to take the show in. Maybe I might want to go solo. Maybe I'd like to do things differently, multiple streams a week and do streams without him. So I did not just claim that that's the only thing that I'm considering, or the only path I'm considering going down. He says, Dirt was mad about what you did too, which we've, again, talked to Dirt. Dirt's been very bipartisan, but of course, Shabisky, everyone just agrees with him 100%. Except for the people that don't, and we'll see that later. Him yelling and screaming at people in the chat who don't agree with him, and also claiming that I'm manipulating. That's why they're agreeing with me. It's not because they honestly agree. It's not because I could possibly be in the right to some extent. No, if people don't agree with Shab, they're just being manipulated, but everyone agrees with Shab. Except for the people who don't, but those people don't count. So it says, and Dirt was mad too, should I put him in limbo? So the reason why Taylor was put in limbo is because she was spamming shit in the fucking general chat. Dirt's not doing that. Dirt's acting like an adult and discussing everything privately. I said I was having Zidane set up the OBS so I could do more than one stream a week. I did the same thing a while back where I would do an extra stream that was just me and Dirt, and I also did private streams, movie commentaries, and gaming streams, but it fell off. So that's him being schizophrenic, acting like that's just tied to getting rid of you. As far as Dirt goes, what did Dirt even say? I've talked to Dirt, and he has not shared any of the opinions you're presenting. As well, he's not happy about it either, but you're also stressing him out because he has a life and stupid shit like this shouldn't happen every month. So one of the reasons I want to cut ties with him is because stupid shit like this happens every month. And it's just, look at how, like, self-aggrandizing Shab is, where he has just no ounce of fucking humility. So it's like, you are stressing him out because he has a life. And it's like, well, I have a fucking life, and I don't like all this fucking drama. So if I want to cut ties with Shab's community because I find it toxic and I find all the fucking drama toxic, it's like, well, maybe Shab should be considerate, but yeah, Shab doesn't need to change at all. Also, that financial shit you were talking about, you help by paying me for my time, but you're not my main income. I don't rely on you as much as you think financially. It just helps, and
that's important. I don't rely on you as much as you think financially.
Then why does it matter if I cut ties with him? Like, people who are defending him are acting like he's entitled to me paying him every week. So if I just don't want to pay him anymore, is he still going to be on PPP? I would say that he wouldn't want to be on if he's not being paid. It's just people are acting like he's entitled to my fucking money. And the point is that, hey, if I'm just going to be a whipping boy, and if no one's ever going to be called out if they treat me poorly and I'm never allowed to stand up for myself, then you know what? I'm not going to pay to be in this fucking toxic relationship. So I said, well, it's stupid shit like this that happens every month that makes me want to cut ties with you, because every time we deal with this kind of shit, you always do the same thing. Also, regarding, she heard you were planning behind my back to kick me off the show. What does that even mean? Again, what does that even mean? It's not a crime to cut ties with someone, and if someone wants to cut ties with someone, counseling with others is not an unacceptable thing to do. So again, let's stop acting like that's even a crime. It's just theatrics, a way to deflect and be dishonest. You keep pointing to that to deflect from why I'm considering doing so to begin with. If you heard that behind your back, me and Dirt were complaining about you, planning to cut you out of the show you did with us for 5 years, you would feel betrayed. If people that like you heard we were doing that to you, they would feel bad we are betraying you. If we are going to put Taylor on limbo, we need to do that to Dirt, right? You didn't answer that. I think I did, but so I already pointed that out, not asking why I'm even doing so to begin with, and that keeps going over his head. So either he's got shitty reading comprehension, or he's just being a little fucking kid. And it reminds me of, so I know you haven't seen Black Mirror, but there's an episode where they install a chip in the child's brain. It's like some parent control lock. So if the girl sees something that's like obscene or not child friendly, it blurs it out. She hears profanity, it beeps it out. So it's almost like that, where like he's reading the text, but it's just everything's being edited and revised to fit just his egocentric worldview.
Yeah.
Like if Shab wants that sign or that image to be of an orange and not an apple, and it's of an apple, everyone else will see the apple, Shab will see the orange. And I said, you're missing the vital component, which is why they are considering doing so. If you guys were doing so because you found that there was something really problematic with my behavior, or you found out that I'm guilty of spousal abuse or something, then that's not an act of betrayal. Again, it's just deflection. You keep acting like my reasoning for doing so does not matter at all, which just shows the lack of empathy and accountability on your end. For you are not willing to reflect and ask yourself, why would John want to do this? In response to the Dirt question, your logic here is flawed because Dirt wasn't posting shit in the general chat. I deleted the stuff Taylor was posting. for I didn't want her turning the general chat in the Discord into an open drama theater. He said, here he says, I didn't see her post anything. It's like he was asleep and wasn't there. So that's the whole fucking point of the limbo, is that if the admin or the mods aren't there, it's to sequester them. Did you show me this? No. Shab needs to use better punctuation. It's my Discord. Maybe ask the owner. It's just, how am I supposed to ask him if he's asleep and he's not there? If you're not there, what am I supposed to do in the moment? So how much time went by before you asked me after the fact? And I told him right away. So as soon as I put her in limbo, I messaged him and told him I put her in limbo. Here, he's messaging me several hours later. That's the whole point of the limbo role. Is it temporarily sequester someone so that you can reveal it later? So you haven't had the opportunity since then. You seem to have a lot of opportunity now. I mean, do you think, I don't know, is this just pure stupidity, or is he just still really drunk?
You're a bully, Gene.
He's like, oh, you seem to have the opportunity now. I literally DM'd him and told him right away when I put her in limbo. You just got online now, and she was posting all the Zidane stuff this morning when you were offline. He says, we have messaged each other like 100 times since then. You've had plenty of chance to respect my opinion on something with my Discord and ask me. Instead, you take full control and put people on limbo for agreeing with me and Dirt. Again, just look at how self-pandering he is. So Dirt doesn't 100% agree with him. And we talked to Dirt, and he didn't think that my decision to put her in limbo was too, rash. And he also agreed that Zidane should be banned. He keeps, again, using Dirt as a token, and it's, oh, I'm just putting her in limbo because she agrees with Shab. It's just, well, that isn't the point. The point is, we should wait until I get home, let me enjoy my cousin's wedding, and wait until all parties are there to discuss things. And just because she agrees with you doesn't mean she's right. That's why maybe everyone should be present. So if somebody is not presenting information that should be presented, or they're withholding information, everyone can have a say. But I guess this is too difficult for Shab to comprehend. And if she agreed with you, should I have put her on limbo? And if there was drama going on and somebody was spamming in the PPP general chat and Shab put them in limbo and told me, I would understand. And people have done stuff like that before. Or is only when people disagree with Gene. Also, did anyone ask Taylor not to post those things in the Discord? And I did ask her in DMs. And I can go and show those DMs where I asked her. Did I get a chance to ask her? No, you made a choice and you're the big boss. So it's just, hey, somebody is posting dick pics in the Discord. Why did you delete the dick pics, and why did you sequester them or kick them or time them out? You should have waited 7 hours and allowed the dick pics to stay there. And I know that, okay, it's not as extreme as that, but still, it's just she's spamming all the fucking drama in the general chat. I asked her to stop. She didn't stop. You were offline around 10 a.m. my time when she was doing it. So that's around 6 hours prior to you getting back online. This is the problem I've had with you nonstop regarding moderation. You expect mods to not moderate in the way that any other community moderates. A moderator sequestering somebody temporarily who is creating a spectacle in the chat while the owners aren't there to prevent drama from getting out of hand is not unconventional or counterproductive. It's like, so once again, you're ignoring the fact that you could have come to me about it afterwards. It's like, does he even comprehend it? Then all the drama would be festering in the general chat on display for several hours. I'm online every day, and I said, does Dirt even agree with you? So response to him keeps bringing up Dirt, because I don't think you're being honest about the exact stance Dirt has regarding this. And here he says, LOL, Gene, don't bother him because he's stressed out. But yes, he agrees with me. And Kimberly, we've talked to Dirt multiple times in a voice chat, and we've had long extended talks with him. Do you think Dirt agrees with Shab as much as Shab is claiming, or do you think he's just interpreting everything in an overly self-affirming manner?
Shabisky, like I said before, I think he's trying to gang up on you. Well, this person said you're wrong, so don't you want to listen to that person? And you're wrong. And
he's also being a toddler. It's I'm the arrogant one, but it's just laugh out loud. No, he agrees with me. So you'd be fine with her posting about the Zidane drama, thus stirring up a huge ruckus in the server when people in the middle have no context of what's going on. And he said, I said she should have been asked to stop, and if she didn't, maybe limbo, and then come to me about what's happening. So I did ask her to stop, and I did go to him because I DM'd him right away. So therefore, as soon as he got online, he would see it first then. I said, well, I talked to Dirt as well, and he agrees with me that Zidane should be banned. Here he says, well, I think he agrees that Zidane didn't deal with it the right way, but just because he thinks that doesn't mean he agrees with everything you were doing. And it's like, I never said he agrees. So Shab's just black and white. It's like either they agree with you 100% or they agree with me 100%. That's why he doesn't want to talk about this shit. You, not me. It's just you, so Shabisky is perfectly innocent. I'm not perfect. It's like, well, so far he hasn't taken accountability for anything. Again, no self-accountability. Yeah, reflection and stuff. So just look at how fucking self-pandering he is and just how dismissive he is. Yeah, he thinks Zidane didn't deal with it correctly. That's what I said, right? But he's ignoring the fact that Zidane or Dirt agreed that Zidane's infraction is ban-worthy. You still haven't addressed the reasons why I was considering cutting ties with you. Do you not think you've been a really shitty friend in the past? He says, I think that you call me a shitty friend and say outrageously mean things trying to call me out, and then by the end of our conversation, you're agreeing with me. Because everyone just agrees with Shab. He'll claim that, hey, I'm always calling him out and holding this stuff over his head, but yet you're always agreeing with me. People have watched it, and again, people have watched it happen, so you'll see him later on screaming at people in the chat because they don't agree with him 100%. He's getting mad at people like Bill Hicks and Timmy because they're not canceling me on his behalf. But not just everyone agrees with Shab, says Shab. You acting like me considering cutting ties with you is more significant than the reasons why I consider cutting ties with you. The last time we had a big talk, that's what happened, and that's not what happened. I think you have selective memory. And he says, laugh out loud, okay, let's talk to Dirt, and keeps using Dirt as a token. We've talked to Dirt. So do you think he'll agree? I literally talked to him about it. It's like, well, we've literally talked to him about it. Dirt always has a bipartisan stance where he tries to appeal to both sides, and you interpreting that as him taking your side entirely just shows how self-pandering your judgment is. Also, there are a large amount of people who don't take your side who aren't Dirt. So I think, again, like typical Shabisky from the past, you're just going to engage in selection bias. Do you not respect Dirt's opinion? So pointed out, still using Dirt as a token. A large number of people have told me that you're a really shitty friend and have asked me why I even stream with you at all. But all those people are wrong, right? So I'm trying to point out, like, show sort of the hypocrisy here. It's that, like, hey, people agree with me, so therefore I'm right. Well, people agree with me, so I guess I must be right. And here, laugh out loud who. The way you discuss these things just shows how self-pandering you are. Instead of who, you add the LOL to show, again, how incapable you are at reflection, being unable to even slightly consider that there's anything wrong with your judgment. Anyway, if you want a list of names, here you go. JLV, Galen, Kimberly, Teddy, Zenemy, Bill Hicks, and the list goes on. But go ahead and tell me why none of their judgment matters. So later on, he's like, I talked to all these people. It's funny how only 2 out of like 6 people you mentioned, and it's where Shab kind of shows how socially retarded he is. And I probably shouldn't have given him any fucking names, but does he think that if he confronts these people, like, hey, somebody said you said I was a shitty friend, like, what kind of response does he expect
them to agree with him?
Yeah, and we've seen, like, with Dirt, when we've talked to him, he's been very bipartisan, and he has shared opinions with us that contradict the things that Shab says that he's agreeing with Shab over. So they probably gave him sort of a, well, like, in a way, or I think there are problems, but I don't know, I don't think you're entirely like a bad friend. And it's like, oh, that's them completely and totally agreeing with me. I'm Shab. So then he asked, who gave Kimberly mod in my Discord? And I said, I don't know. She's had one for a while. Are you going to address all the people who think differently? So here you saw on stream, like, where he was really loving you when you were like roasting me and stuff, like with everybody else. And Shab gives everyone a fucking mod. This is where, again, he's drunk all the time and he wants to accuse me of this, but it's like, that's something people point out. out. He makes everyone fucking mod. I don't know. I'm messaging people about it, and it seems your list isn't so accurate. Now, Teddy's been around, so you've been there when we've talked to Teddy. Teddy has agreed that Shab's been a shitty friend.
Yeah, but he won't agree with that right now.
Yeah, so it's like him being two-faced. And we've talked to JLV. JLV's agreed.
Oh, he hasn't talked to JLV.
Yeah, so it's just Galen has confided in me, like, it was before I got mad at Shab on my stream. It went on for the first couple years of PPP. He would interrupt me nonstop. He would run in the room when we're covering the news, and he would just be shouting, poo, pee, pee, poo. And he would blow the torch in the mic. And multiple people have mentioned how the stream was unwatchable. And this is something where they'll claim that, oh, I'm too controlling. And it's like, well, guess what? When I established ground rules that we have to talk about what's on topic, we have to talk about what's being displayed on screen, what's directly in front of you, that's when the viewership start to go up. That's when the subscribe counts start to go up. When you look at the analytics, the average watch time has improved. So this sort of like John Morgan goes on and talks during a podcast, like a talk show where you're supposed to be talking, and he tries to have that level of structure that all fucking podcasts have, where there's established topics that are on the itinerary, and you go through and discuss all of those. But no, John's just not letting it be a just chatting stream where people trail off and talk about whatever every 3 fucking minutes. And that was something they did the first couple of years that I would stream. We're covering some story that's in the title, it's in the tags, it's in the thumbnail, and they'd be like, why are we covering this? What's the point? Why are we covering this? And Bill Hicks, we've discussed it with Bill Hicks, and I mean, he's agreed with us that Shab's been a bad friend in many ways.